to the unknown.
That's right. We can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
We just keep coming back. We keep putting our paws in the cookie jar.
Cannot stop. Will not stop. Won't stop. Stop asking us to stop.
There's been a big outreach about us stopping.
Every week people go, please stop doing this.
Please stop.
I can't believe you're doing this again. Knock it off.
But we won't stop.
Never. Are people already here? I see Bobby and Tina. Are people already here?
Cool.
Were you here before the show started somehow? It doesn't seem impossible.
Okay. This could be a totally separate issue.
Yeah.
I completely forgot to tell you this. We were still, like, the Guides the Unknown live thing was up, like, the day after we recorded. So you, like, never took it down or something. So I don't know if this is tacking on to that. It could have nothing to do with it. But it definitely, when I went onto YouTube, it was like, Guides the Unknown is live. And it was, like, the next day.
Okay. Well, it's good to know. I don't know.
And it was just like just the screen that said like GTTU live or whatever.
I think because YouTube changed the way they do stuff, I have to not only end our recording software, I have to end on YouTube and I have to end there.
Okay.
So there are now like 3 locations.
Okay.
So, okay. Good to know. I will do that this week.
And then I think the show was just up on YouTube. Like you never unlisted it.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. Okay.
That I'm aware of.
Yeah.
And that was done out of laziness.
Okay. Very good.
How's it going, everybody? What's happening? How's your night going?
Yeah.
We've got KB in here, Miss Sweetie.
Cool.
What's kicking you chickens?
Hey, everybody.
What's going on in the world of spookiness? Hey, Taylor.
Hey, gang.
Yeah.
Right. Let's share it up.
KB says audio is off.
Oh, uh-oh.
Is anybody else experiencing this? Let's do where is it here? How's it going, everybody? I seem to hear it.
No, but it's like, I think it said it's not synced.
Oh, like not
Maybe.
synced. Oh, Michelle says it looked like this stream was scheduled to start at 6, so it opened up the chat at that point. That makes sense.
That's cool.
That makes sense. So wait.
Thank you, Michelle.
KB says audio is off. Oh, is anybody else experiencing this? It might be a little out of sync because of the 4K webcam. But I'm not going to lie. I don't know how to change that.
Okay.
Maybe that's going to be something that I have to like learn how to do. Yeah, Tina says she can hear it. KB says, yeah, audio not in sync.
Okay.
If audio is not in sync, I wonder, is that webcam or is that the microphones? Because they're each fancy pants devices now. I wonder if that creates some sort of issues. The only things I seem to have control over, I'm not sure if I can fix that right now. I think I'd get lost in the sauce trying to figure it out. Is it distracting and horrible, everybody, or is it okay? I just tried this. I just hit.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't really synced last week either. Taylor's saying, Bobby says it's a tiny bit out of sync.
But people can hear.
Yeah.
People can see. I just hit a button that said use device timestamps. I don't know what it means. Some sort of issues. The only things I seem to have control over. Does that make it any better? Let's just keep talking so our mouths move.
Yeah,
Make sure your mouth is visible.
Okay.
I hit a button. Did that fix it?
How the button do? I hope the button helped.
I hope the button helped.
I've been practicing my non-regional diction. I hope it's working.
It's not. It's not working.
Yeah, Michelle says, nah, close enough.
Yeah, it still seems out of sync. Still seems out of sync. I mean, all right, I'll have to do a deeper dive on that at some point.
Yeah, having this fancy new equipment, there's some growing pains with it, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Bobby just texted me, remember to test your mic so you don't blow it out this week. Past couple weeks, it's been nutty.
Yeah.
You're nutty. Sent to him. Let me, why don't I, for the sake of being safe, because I would like it if these live streams still like looked good, sounded good. Oh, can I not do that while that's recording? That's fine. I'm going to stop that. Remind me to restart. Okay. Okay. We might be a little quieter now, but hopefully it won't risk blowing anything out.
Yeah.
on the computer.
Oh, was it more blown out on the computer than it was in the podcast version?
I think so.
Oh.
I think so. We look brighter tonight. Well, I'm very smart.
Dink.
Okay. Yeah. As long as you can
We did an audio test and it sounded good, but
Yeah.
although I have to say, you said you didn't hear it. Remember I said yesterday I feel like I sound weird in my headphones, and I
Yeah.
noticed that I sound particularly weird in the podcast.
Maybe you just sound weird. Have you thought of that?
Yeah, I have thought of that, Will. But I sound like a little like tinny or robotic or something. It doesn't sound normal to me. You sound fine in my headphones, but I sound a little. Oh, I think I sound better now to myself.
Really? I just turned you down a little bit.
Maybe.
I think you've been slightly louder than me.
Yeah.
Which is hard because I think that you and I don't speak at consistent volumes all the time.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, somebody would be running a board and would be making adjustments on the fly or something like that, but we don't have that.
Right.
Okay, I'm just gonna hope that everything is good from here, or I certainly think that everything seems better in terms of how it looks and in terms of how it sounds overall. So we're gonna go for good enough at the moment, and then this week I'm gonna try to set aside some time to do a deeper dive into syncing up audio with video. And making sure that our audio situation is good.
Yeah.
Especially because I just made a few adjustments to you right now. Let's see if this week's show sounds better, and then I'll just take a picture of all these settings to hold on to them.
Okay.
Okay. All right, everybody. We're just going to share real quick. We would really appreciate it if you would all do the same, and then we're going to start the show. We're going to be talking about a kind of a controversial haunting story this week, which I'm very excited about. It was something I had never heard of before at all.
I hadn't until today.
Not until today?
No, I was looking up a completely different topic.
I knew that.
And I was like kind of coming up short, and I stumbled upon this, and
this was like,
I know.
Interesting.
I had no idea.
Yeah, this was kind of a fun one. I like it when we get to talk about just some haunting case.
I wanted it to be something simple this week. Yeah.
But yeah, we're just going to share on at GTTU Pod, at Chillin' Kristen, and at The Myth Traveler real quick.
Yep.
To try to spread the word and make sure that people are able to come in and have a good spooky evening with us. So please, please, please consider doing the same yourselves. Taylor says, ooh, controversy. Yeah, I don't even know that much about the controversy yet, but I'm very excited. Taylor also says, Man Salad is now live stream tech support. Bob, as long as we're that's our buddy Bobby.
That's great. Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, my longtime writing partner, longtime friend, former co-host of shows. Bob's all about mostly comedy. Quite frankly, everybody follow Man Salad on YouTube.
Yeah.
For some really insane comedy sketches, but also Bob is like really like tech savvy. So Bob, as long as you're able to tune into these live streams, please do feel free to offer suggestions. I'll do whatever you say. Yeah, Taylor, why would you work on 3 essays when you could watch the show? Easy decision to make. YouTube.com/talkbomb.
Boom.
YouTube.com/debomb. All right.
Cool.
Hey. I'm live on YouTube talking about a spooky, haunted house for Guide to the Unknown.
That's right.
Join.
Karen could hear Molly. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Sweet Molly. Sweet Molly. I'm hoping maybe she will take a little nappy. She spent the entire afternoon with her brother.
Yeah. They had a nice play date.
Hell yeah.
How do we look in VR, Bobby? Whoa.
VR?
Yeah, he said he's wearing his VR goggles right now.
Oh, cool. What a cool guy.
Can you smell my decaf through your VR headset?
Yeah, what else can you smell?
With hazelnut nut pods.
He's the hazelnuttiest. Okay. All right, I'm just about set. I just got to type something real quick and share it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, I watched, I put on the earliest episode of Ghost Adventures I could find.
Oh, nice.
It's on Hulu.
Uh-huh.
The furthest back it goes is season 8.
Oh, wow.
Episode 1.
Yeah. I don't know what they're on now.
Zach Bagans is wearing those big glasses in it, but I thought his vision was ruined by the demon house.
I think it was maybe further deteriorated by the demon house or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know, but the chronology from
Yeah.
my granted light understanding of Zach Bagans, who he is and what he does, it was
Right.
like
Hold
from
on.
what I understand, those glasses shouldn't be on yet. But
Wait a tick. I can't picture. I mean, I haven't been watching it from the beginning at all. I've seen like 5 episodes of it altogether, but I can only think of him wearing glasses. But maybe I've only just seen like later stuff.
yeah. I want to get into it. I'm honestly gonna like put in an effort to watch it. I followed him on Twitter.
He's kind of charming.
He's kind of charming.
I know. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the whole world. Do it. You're going to have a great time. Think about the charge and the energy that we got when you came over and we watched it.
I know.
We were buzzing, Will.
Yes, I really enjoy it, and
Yeah.
I feel I've been hard on Mr. Bagans, and
There's stuff to be hard on. I mean, while I'm saying he's charming and everything, I'm not like this is a normal person who's above criticism. It's over the top. It's so insane, but so 5 probably isn't accurate. I've seen a handful, let's say, but I haven't seen like a bunch of seasons or anything. The more time I've spent with him, because I've spent a decent amount of time with him now, I have a softer and softer spot for him.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him.
I like him.
I will also say that on Hulu, so you scroll through the seasons, and then there's an option that's just called Extra or Others or something like that.
Yeah.
So I clicked on that being like, oh, maybe the original seasons are
Like under extras
archived or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's one file in there, and it's of Aaron's face filling the frame, going like,
That's
whoa.
all.
Like doing that big face. I'm like, this guy.
I started following him on everything too. I follow the whole team now.
Yeah.
And Aaron makes like insane cool crafts and stuff. He just made a clock with like an octopus on it. These are interesting dudes.
Does he call it a cloctopus?
No.
Octo clock?
No.
Does it have 8 hands?
Maybe he does. I'm not sure.
Anyway.
Better off with Mr. Beans.
Mr. Beans. Mr. Beans.
Love him too.
Yeah.
I've also spent a lot of time with him.
And then Taylor says Mr. Bean now has a Funko Pop.
Finally.
What children aren't like Funko Pops like
No, they're like for adults who like collect Funko Pops, I think.
my son can't wait to get the new Mr. Bean's Funko Pop.
He's been asking for and asking for it.
Oh, so funny. Okay.
Okay.
I think we're in good shape.
All right, cool.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We're about to record the show. Some haunted stuff, some ectoplasm, which turns out to be something different. Can't wait to share it with you.
Do you know what it is?
I know what they're like sort of saying it might be.
Okay, we'll just start.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to Guides the Unknown. I'm Kristen,
And I'm her brother, William.
and we are going to be talking about the Demon of Brownsville Road this week. This is something that we both just found out about today, and it ends up being a super rich and interesting topic.
Absolutely. It is such an odd tale that continues to this day in
Yes.
some way, shape, or form.
Right.
The house where this all took place is now available as a bed and breakfast. where
Well,
you can
coming
stay.
soon.
Well, yes. I read an article from September which said that it was coming soon. I tried to find it so I could book it
Yeah.
or just see how much it cost or something. Couldn't find it anywhere.
Well, they have a website from that article that you
Yeah.
go to, and it just like is under construction. It just has some pictures of it.
I saw a bunch of pictures from the inside. It looks like it's ready, but
Yeah,
yeah,
apparently.
I guess
not-
we'll still have to wait a little bit longer.
Not ready for prime time. Also coming, a movie on this subject from New Line.
I know.
So we're really getting it on the ground floor.
We most certainly are.
So if you want to get on the ground floor with us, just so you know, I want to mention you can follow us everywhere on social media at GTTUpod. And we also have a Patreon page at patreon.com/GTTUpod where we have monthly bonus episodes. And on top of those, monthly extras just sprinkled around. So if you go there right now and donate a minimum of $4 a month, there are a bunch of extras waiting for you there. And there will be a new episode uploaded on Friday where Will and I talk about Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
We recorded it last night, and I think it's like one of the best episodes we've ever done.
I really enjoyed
Of
myself.
anything.
It was a really good conversation.
Yes.
Not only is it coming out on Friday, so does this episode you're listening to. If
Right.
you're listening to this episode on the day of release, the Doctor Sleep conversation is out now
Yes.
on the Netherworld Dispatch. So go get it.
That's right.
Listen to this and that episode concurrently to hear the synchronicities that happen when you play them side by side.
Oh man,
It's
that
like-
push-pull.
It's like Dark Side of the Moon and
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz. If you play 2 episodes that we've recorded,
You'll go quite mad.
yeah, you're Your ears will start bleeding.
Right.
It'll be horrible. I can't wait to hear about it.
So, Will, take us away. Tell us about the story of the Demon of Brownsville Road.
Yeah. So a lot of this information comes from Wikipedia. A lot of it is based on a book that was written about the events, written by one of the people who experienced the events, Bob Cranmer or something? Cranmer.
I think it's Cranmer, no?
Cranmer.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Like cranberry and mermaid in that order. Cranmer. So there was a family, the Cranmers, that moved into this house on Brownsville Road in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And they experienced odd phenomenon. It's going to make you think a lot about the Amityville Horror to a certain extent, or maybe The Conjuring. Family moves into a house, experiences odd phenomenon. Same basic thing that's happened endless times before, but with its own eccentricities, to be sure. So something that I've done here is I've written a little bit about Bob.
Okay.
What about Bob?
Right. Tell me.
Because he's kind of the figure that this all revolves around, or he's the way that we get a lot of our information about what occurred.
Yeah.
And then I've got sort of a chronology of that parcel of land and house. So Bob is a veteran of the Army. He also served as a Republican county commissioner for his county in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
From 1996 to 2000. So by all accounts, he should be a reputable person. Whenever I hear these stories, I always end up thinking about, did somebody buy a house because they want to indulge in the infamy of it? Like the Watcher's house in New Jersey, which we've talked about a lot.
Right.
Do you buy that because you know you can flip it if there's a big bad ghost story? But this guy, he served and he was a politician that
Right.
won his seat. So you want to believe that means
That he's credible
exactly
and trustworthy.
So here's some of the backstory. March 1792. A mother and her 3 young children are killed by Native Americans during the Northwest Indian War. It was, quote, an act of terror
Okay.
because the Native Americans were trying to prevent the pioneers from expanding further west.
Okay.
Okay. That's part 1 of the story.
Okay.
The house is eventually built on that land where that mother and children were killed.
Real quick, do we know that that's true? That there were is this fact? We know that happened, or what?
Here's what I'll say. I am presenting to you what is said.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes total sense.
There are naysayers
Yeah.
who say that Native Americans certainly didn't want people to continue to take their land
Yeah.
and were, trying to retaliate and stuff.
Right.
But is it an act
of terror when you're
Exactly.
encroaching on somebody? Whatever.
I think of the acts of terrorism, whatever. I don't want to get
I know.
I don't want to get political.
I know.
But
But,
when you think about that, specifically that use of language,
Yes.
it's very early 2000s.
There's also something else in this that I feel that way about, that there's a very conservative bent
Yeah.
to this storytelling.
Yeah, I've got some more of that later as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so, okay. The house is finally built at the beginning of the 20th century, around the year 1910. It would be eventually designated a historical landmark because of the way this house is built. It's so old, I guess it was built in a particular style called the Craftsman style, or maybe it was one of those things you order out of a catalog and it
Okay.
was like a Binford Tool
Yeah.
house. Or
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, it's so old that it's a historical landmark is the point. Let's fast forward. I'm going to strategically jump now
Okay.
78 years.
All right, time jump.
Yes, big
Whoa.
time jump. A bunch of stuff happens that I will explain, but
Okay.
let's now jump.
Sure.
The land existed. There were murders there. Eventually a house was built on that land, and eventually the Cranmers move in.
This is like a movie. That was the preface. Now we're slammed
Yes.
into the Cranmers moving
Yes.
and where our story really begins.
Exactly.
No doubt affected by what we just watched.
I'm
or
not.
heard about.
I won't tell just yet. I'll never tell.
Never tell.
Well, actually, I will, but not yet.
If you guys know what that is from, please reach out to us at GTTUpod all over social media. I also think that we've done that before.
We definitely have.
That thing.
I mean, we know what it's from, but we'll never tell.
We'll never tell.
So December 1988, Bob and Lisa, or Lisa?
I
or-
know, I don't know.
Yeah, Lesa. The Cranmers move into the house with their 4 children. Here's a quote from Wikipedia. All I know at this point is they moved into this house. Here's what Wikipedia immediately follows with.
Yeah.
They bought the house upon being transferred to Pittsburgh by his employer. Bob states that the house was his dream to own, and that it mysteriously went up for sale the same week that they began looking for a house to buy.
My God.
As a young child, he would often stand and stare at the house, hoping that someday he could see the inside. And I was like, well, wait, they were transferred to Pittsburgh, so they bought the house, but he stood there as a child?
Yeah.
It's like, was he a little boy who got transferred to a new job in Pittsburgh?
Did he grow up in Pittsburgh and then he went away and came back?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
But they didn't establish that, so they started talking about how he moved there as an adult, but he has wanted it since he was a kid. I'm like, well, you need to say that he lived there.
Right.
So eventually they explain it. But
this
whatever.
Wikipedia page wasn't perfectly written.
I know it's nitpicky, but Wikipedia weirdness always is fun to me. When you read something on Wikipedia and you just go like,
wait,
what?
What and who is that? They didn't tell me who that is.
When, where, and who did this happen to?
I know.
What is going on?
I know.
Anyway, Bob says that when they were trying to buy the house, the sellers seemed anxious to move out. So anxious were they that Bob initially gave them a very low-ball offer. And rather than negotiate, rather than try to get the price back up to what the house really is worth, they took his offer.
Why would they do that?
Here are the keys, Bob.
Why don't they mind? It's almost like they want to get out.
Want the keys, Bob? Jingling the keys in front of him like he's a baby. During a walkthrough of the house, Bobby Jr. wandered off into the basement and started to cry. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Lessa would also go on to say that the house seemed...
It's probably Lisa, right?
I know, but why is it L-E-S-A? I've never seen that.
I haven't either, but
I'll just call her Lisa.
Yeah, it's
why bother to assume that her name has a different pronunciation and try? Screw it, you're Lisa now.
I think it probably is.
I guess, I don't know. She said that the house is too big, and then it gives her the creeps. Bob ignores this. He asks the sellers if there's anything wrong with the house. Here's a quote. Understanding exactly what he was referring to, the seller assured him that the house was fine and that Catholic Mass was conducted several times in the living room of the house.
Yeah, just like a normal house that has nothing wrong with it.
It's a totally normal place.
We've had Catholic Mass here like a bunch of times.
Constantly.
It's all good.
Yeah, we're constantly trying to have Mass here.
I'm not usually trying to have Mass in the living room.
Yeah, I'm not trying to have Mass right now. Bob thought this was an odd response, but took it with the reassurance that had been implied.
Okay.
Later, the next spring, Bob discovered a small metal box buried in the front yard containing Catholic religious items. He called the previous owner, who assured him that, quote, the house is fine.
That's totally normal. That just shows you how normal it is. Just like all the masses we have, that's just like another indicator of how fine the house is. So enjoy it.
Enjoy it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's great. It's great. It's great. You got to steal the deal of the year.
Oh, you found it? You win.
You win, Bob. You win.
That's good. That's normal.
Now, please, lose my phone number.
Yeah.
The former owner says, just put it back where you found it. You got to make sure that this like blessing is stored under the lawn.
Wouldn't you die?
Oh my God. Yes.
Like, okay, that's great. Oh, you found it? Okay, cool. Just put it back where you found it.
Right.
And everything's fine.
That is pretty frightening.
Yeah.
I will say, so Allie and I bought this house last year, and I have, we talked about it on the show a little bit. I tried to look up, have people died here or whatever. We seem to be the third people to ever own the house. It was built in 1920. It's almost 100 years old. So I keep hoping that there's some oddity here, There is a very high cabinet on the main floor in the bathroom that we can't get up to without like a step ladder.
Okay.
And so we haven't really had need for it, whatever, but I was curious the other day, so I opened the cabinet door and then used my phone camera to look inside.
Yeah.
There's a black garbage bag in there.
Oh.
And it looks like it has stuff in it.
Really?
Yeah, and I forgot about it. So I don't.
Are you gonna look in it?
Yeah.
Let's do it after the show.
You wanna do it after the show? Okay.
Yeah.
It might be anticlimactic. For all I know,
It
it was there
totally
when
might be.
people, when like they were taking care of the house to get ready to sell it. Maybe Allie and I did do something last year that we were going to do up there and forgot. I don't know. All I know is that I saw on the camera, I was like, Oh, there's like a rumpled bag up there. What?
You were like, Dear David. I think he did that at one point.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dear David,
Yeah.
where have you been?
In that bag.
Possibly on TV.
Oh, no, definitely on TV.
Really?
Yes. Starting on December 20th, Adam Ellis of the Dear David thing, that's the guy who wrote it. I find this very confusing. He's going to have a show, I can't remember the name of it, but where he goes to people who are experiencing hauntings and like investigates them and also tries to like help them through the ordeal of dealing with a haunting, which seems to imply almost
Because he's been through it.
right. And it's so clearly fiction.
No.
I know, but
it's not.
it's crazy to me. I think it's going off of almost like a Catfish model, like where the guy wrote the movie or did the movie Catfish and they had a TV show off of it. It feels like Catfish the Haunting to me.
Yeah. Maybe. Hey, whatever. Maybe it'll be fun.
Oh, I'll be there lickety split.
I know it.
But I'm just saying it's strange to me because I thought it was just so clearly. I mean, I know it's presented like it's real, but it just seems so obviously fiction. And he dropped it like a hot potato. He hasn't talked about Dear David in years.
It's
weird.
almost the equivalent of whoever created Marmaduke, then going on to have a reality show where he helps people with their troublesome pets. It's like, well, you drew a dog. You didn't.
Right. You didn't.
You didn't do anything.
You're not a dog trainer.
Okay.
You're
whatever.
not Caesar Milano or whatever. Milan.
It's Caesar Milano's.
Milano's the cookies.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
So anyway, the Cranmers go on to experience a bunch of oddities, little odd experiences. There's a light in the coat closet whose cord, like the pull cord, continually wraps around the bulb.
Okay.
It does not hang down, and that doesn't really make sense. They find icky goo on the floor.
Yeah.
And on a TV show that you suggested I watch, Paranormal Witness True Terror.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
I did.
Nice. They didn't pronounce the lady's name on that show?
I don't remember.
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, didn't you watch that show? They must have said her name, and then I figured you must not have watched it.
I did, and yet I still don't know somehow.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
It's almost as if maybe a demon prevented me from being able to remember. I watched it really closely. So anyway, there's icky yellow goo on the floor, and one of the sons, now grown up, describes it as having been like Jell-O that hasn't completely hardened, just stuck on the floor.
Viscous.
The house is just kind of old and obviously has a lot of like history and strangeness to it. There's a big furnace in the cellar, and then at one point their son gets terrified. He sees some strange man wearing circular glasses.
Oh.
Spooky.
Yowie.
Spooky. All right. Here's some things that happen. There's a guy, Father Ron, starts calling Bob Cranmer and being like, Bob, I need you to go to the top of the stairs and turn left.
What?
There's a room on the left there. Do you know what I'm talking about? And he's like, yes. How can you possibly know about this house? Father Ron just all of a sudden is like some sort of a bystander. What's it called? Like a good Samaritan?
Okay.
Calling in to try to help the Cranmers deal with their situation out of the blue.
It's odd.
Yep. And everything he says about the house is correct. Everything he says about the house is true. And he says about this room on the left, evil things have happened in that room, involving a tremendous amount of blood.
Oh.
So Bob starts to do research into the history of the house. Paranormal Witness pairs up Bob's investigation into the house's history with Lisa doing laundry in the basement. They played as if
like
these
cut between.
They played as if these two things are literally happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I was watching and being like, no, they didn't. I just don't believe you. Lisa goes into the basement to do laundry. And she says that while she's down there, she smells birthing fluid.
Ew. Okay.
That's what she said.
All right.
As Bob is upstairs researching the house and discovers that during that mysterious gap I left between 1910 and 1988, there was a doctor who lived in that house and was known for doing illegal abortions. And he was Kristen. He was killing babies.
Oh.
So then Father Ron calls again. Or Bob calls Father Ron. Who knows? They're on the phone.
Yeah.
Father Ron.
Look, he gets Father Ron on the horn either way.
They're able to chat. And Father Ron says to look for a void in the house. Is there a room that's not on the floor plan in the house,
Ooh.
Bob? Is there a place that's inaccessible?
What's with Father
Bob?
Ron?
Well, this immediately pings in Bob Cranmer's head that, yes, I think there is something up with the house.
Yeah.
That coat closet where the cord just wraps around the light and doesn't dangle down. He goes to that coat closet and demolishes the back wall, finding
Badass.
a hidden space, a void. He finds in there something that we might be familiar with.
Oh.
He finds a bird
ghost?
skeleton.
Oh. Okay.
Finds a bird skeleton and a piece of paper. A piece of paper featuring the image of the horned demon, Moloch.
I love that name.
Molech is how it's described on the show, though I'm familiar with Moloch from elsewhere,
Oh.
which I will explain later.
all in due time.
Moloch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Here's what he says, Bob. Because he has this piece of paper with Moloch
Right.
drawn on it. He says, they offered up their children, and those who had no children would buy little ones from poor people and cut their throats as if they were young birds. He goes like, there was something written on it from the Old Testament. And then he reads that, and then he goes, it reminded me of something. And then I realized it was from the Old Testament.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
It reminded you of what it is?
Yeah. And it turns out that it is from the Old Testament. It's from the Canaanites. I don't know anything about the whatever.
Okay.
And they worshipped Moloch. There was a statue to Moloch once. This is, I guess, described in the Bible. He was made out of metal, and there's a big fireplace at the base of it where they would do sacrifices of children and babies. So Bob decides now that the doctor who had lived there worshipped Moloch.
Wow.
And was doing those abortions not because people were in danger or, like
needed them?
Needed them. He was doing them to sacrifice those children, and the bodies were definitely burned in that old furnace in the basement.
Okay.
All of that is now a fact.
Yes.
And now the goo that they found is associated with giving birth. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then they hear a screaming from their son upstairs, and they run up, and the walls
He's
are
giving birth.
You see, the walls are dripping blood. It is around this time that Lisa starts to have mental issues. She starts writing on the walls. She says this herself on False Witness or whatever. Paranormal Witness. She starts scrawling, "This is our house," all over the walls. According to Wikipedia, she and 2 of their children experienced serious mental issues, which would require hospitalization.
Real quick, was this all happening in one afternoon, you're saying? Like, he broke down that wall in the closet and found the Moloch painting.
Right.
Then blood was dripping from his son's. Is this all, like, in the same day?
Sure.
And then she starts writing on the walls?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, this is, I think, over the course of, like, years.
Okay.
Like, months and years.
Okay.
Like, this is, in 2003, their oldest son attacked Bob, and there were arrests made. All charges were eventually dropped. It seems like there was, like, unhappiness in the house that is genuinely documented. Bob's elderly aunt had been living with them, and she was found dead in her bed of natural causes. That's listed on the Ghost website as if that's tied to Moloch.
Boy.
Yeah, it says that some paranormal researchers from Penn State got involved.
Oh, I know the researchers.
Do you?
I sure do. Ryan Buell from Paranormal State.
Paranormal State.
Wait, you know what? Did you say researchers from Paranormal State, or did you say Penn State?
Oh, I don't
Just
know.
now.
I'm not sure. They are from Penn State, but there's a very good chance I might have said Paranormal State.
If you said Paranormal State, my reaction is so stupid.
Researchers from Paranormal State University.
I heard you say that, and I thought you were saying like the real college, and you were being like coy. Like some researchers from Penn State came, and I was being like, oh, I know who, but you literally said.
I don't know. I don't know what I said, to be quite honest.
You probably did. I spent so much time today.
Yeah.
I was like ripping my hair out, trying to find the episode, which doesn't exist, of Paranormal State where they go to this house.
Oh.
Because there were these references to the Paranormal State team coming and researching the house. So I just assumed that meant Oh,
they
on
did an
the
episode.
show.
No.
It was before they had a show. It was
Yes.
in 2015, and the show started 2017. So I was like going through their Wikipedia. Excuse me. Sorry. 2005. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was going to say it started in
2005.
2017.
No.
That doesn't seem possible.
No, it's not. Sorry.
Okay.
So I was going through their episode listings, like
Yeah.
trying to read between the lines. Like anything that says Pennsylvania, I was Googling that title and looking into it more because I so wanted it to be a thing, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they
no.
did go and investigate it. Yeah.
Yes, I was kind of impressed, honestly, that like I didn't know anything about the show Paranormal State or who
Oh,
those
I sure
people
do.
were. I know you and I used to. I watched that a lot with you.
Yes.
I think in my head I've kind of combined that show with Zach Bagans because it's a similar vibe.
Yeah.
But like they had a psychic named Chip Coffey who had a pet pig or something.
Sure. I don't know about the pet pig.
Didn't he? Or maybe he talked to a pig once. Or maybe I was looking at
know.
a picture of a pig while the show was on and I combined them.
You could be right, but I don't remember that.
Anyway, I remember that show, and I was really actually kind of impressed from the Wikipedia article that it was like, yeah, paranormal investigators from Pennsylvania State University
Yeah.
who went to this house, the Cranmer house, to try to investigate the demon Moloch.
Yeah.
And all these ghosts or whatever, and then went on to have their own show.
Right.
I actually was kind of impressed. I was like, oh, they've been doing that for a while. Like, I don't know. I guess I assumed that these paranormal shows are assembled in a lab.
I mean,
Like putting together a boy band. You like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I think some of them are, but some of them aren't. And they were an existing team who, like,
Yeah.
it was all students from Penn State who put that thing together.
That's interesting.
And then got in touch with, some older psychics, Chip Coffey and Michelle Belanger.
Whoa.
They also did a lot of work with Lorraine Warren. And then it's a whole thing. But Ryan, who's like the head of that, ended up getting arrested for fraud and had a lot of like addiction issues. And I've checked up on him recently.
Yeah.
And he's clean and doing better.
Oh, good. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I read his Wikipedia a little bit today.
Yeah.
And it was like he was sort of like conning people for a while.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was just stealing money.
He was putting together paranormal conventions and then canceling them and not refunding them.
Right.
But
right,
he was
right.
in the major throes of addiction.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm
and
glad he's
mental
doing better.
illness. Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So Father Ron is now showing up to expel this demon entity. So they do like an exorcism. Paranormal witness shows them in the basement fighting a demon.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Naturally.
Yeah. Evidently in the book that Bob Cranmer would go on to write about this, he says that the movie The Passion of the Christ from director Mel Gibson played a significant role
Yes.
in cleansing the house. But whatever, they do a fairly by-the-book exorcism where it is very much like the power of Christ compels you.
Yeah.
Like it's everything you've heard from The Exorcist, and it just works.
Right.
It's just
Does a trick.
run-of-the-mill. It's like a plumber being like, well, we'll try the snake first.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, we'll try this. It's like, oh, just do these steps and it'll just happen. It'll be fine.
This is your workhorse exorcism. This gets
Yes.
it done 90% of the time.
Exactly, yeah. So finally the house has been cleansed, and Bob Cranmer, it's so weird. They do this talking head thing where he goes like, couldn't believe it, the house was completely cleansed. But then I was thinking more and more about Father Ron. How did he know how to do this? How did he know so much
What?
about my house? I was like, oh, we're going to get some awesome reveal about Father Ron.
Yeah.
So they show that Bob Cranmer goes to visit Father Ron, and they do a dramatic, reenactment, and they have actor Bob going like, how did you know? How could you figure this all out, Father? You priest? And then the priest actor goes, I had a little help.
From upstairs?
No, they cut to
Okay.
real Father Ron who goes, I have a friend who knew a lot about the house and could tell me a lot about it.
Oh.
Like,
Okay.
Okay, what a mundane.
It's a little anticlimactic, but
Although you know what, I said that really because it's primarily funny.
Yeah.
It still is the same. It still is like,
yeah, that this
I had
guy
a little help from a friend, and then they cut to the real guy going, yeah, no, I've got a friend who I consider her a mystic, and she could sense a lot of things about the house. And then I was like, oh, cool. So what's up? What? So Father Ron, Catholic priest guy, you have a friend who you consider a mystic who knew a lot about the house. I can't wait to hear more about that. Period. End of sentence. They just move on.
Oh.
That's the explanation. for how Father Ron knew.
I feel like that opens up a whole new door.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They don't touch. They act like saying, "Yeah, I have a friend who's a psychic."
Yeah.
Is a sufficient explanation that does not beg any more questioning.
It's disappointing.
So disappointing. I couldn't believe it. He also, Father Ron goes like, yes, the house is clean. But you know what? I think that there could still be more happening. Leave that spooky door open. Except in 2018, Bob Cranmer in an interview goes like, no, the house is totally clean. We're going to make it an Airbnb or whatever. Yeah. It's like, okay. Just burst every bubble.
Totally.
Just burst every bubble we got. Last thing really is about this article from the Post-Gazette, where Bob Cranmer talks about opening the house as a bed and breakfast, which is now going to be called the Brownsville Road House.
Yeah.
In the house, it's all decorated to look kind of Civil War era. He's got a bunch of antiques in there. It looks kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And evidently the doctor's office, where he did all those abortions to feed Moloch,
Right.
they've got jars of formaldehyde on the mantle and a portrait of a woman.
Right.
Because that represents the woman in white who died from a botched abortion. And Bob Cranmer said, I saw the ghost. When I stopped in an antique shop and saw the painting, I said, this is her. So he put the painting in the blue room.
So odd.
So it's... I can't... He's like, I don't want people coming in with a Ouija board and stirring everything up again.
Exactly.
But then he's also got jars of formaldehyde, and he says that woman in the painting is a ghost.
So I guess I read a different article than you about them turning it into a bed and breakfast, because that wasn't in the one that I read.
Okay.
But I had the same takeaway where he was like, it's not haunted anymore. Anybody can stay here except for ghost hunters and psychics, because we worked so hard to clear it out of here. I had to watch Apocalypto, I can't tell you how many times, or whatever it was, Passion of the Christ. And we finally got it out of there, and he doesn't want to bring that element back in. But we have a room totally dedicated to that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a theme
Loosely
room, basically.
themed.
It has the book in there that people can read, because his book is called The Demon of Brownsville Road or whatever.
Right.
And the house it does look cool from the pictures at, I think it's brownsvilleroadhouse.com. It does look cool, but the weird thing is, it sounds like it's all over the place. So it's not just like one era. The hallway is World War II themed.
Oh.
Then there's a room that has a 1950s TV and a computer next to it. Then there's the room that's themed as like what we just said. And then there's a room with modern decor and a nautical theme.
Oh. Okay, so I guess you just wanted to have different rooms that have different styles.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's odd.
It is odd.
You know? And in the article that I read, which there will be a link in the show notes, he says that, they got the ghost cleared out and everything. They're making the bed and breakfast. And then he realized that the popularity of this thing isn't dying down anytime soon. So you may as well shop it to some movie houses. I mean, I don't know. He's very like, yes, but no.
Right, yes, of course.
About it, which is very weird. And there are some people out there who are very no about it.
Right.
So there is a lot of criticism and backlash about everything that Will just said, that Bob Cranmer says in the book and has been on TV and talking about it. And the thing is that I think is a little bit different about this story than some others, that he's talking about semi-recent history. Like, there are a lot of ghost stories where you can be like, oh yeah, back in the 1800s, people lived here and those people are haunting it.
Right.
He's talking about people like, sacrificing babies to Satan who lived here, he's saying, in the 1940s or whatever.
Yeah.
So they have living relatives who are calling BS on the story.
Yeah.
So first of all, we touched on it a little bit, just like the way that he's telling the story is a little bit like judgy and like crappy and not cool. So I haven't thought about these in the context of a scary thing in a while, but the way that they were talking about a doctor performing illegal abortions, like that's so inherently like that's a scary thing. That's like an evil thing.
Yeah, he's only trying to like
like that.
He's It is fun.
and I'm not saying like I know there are situations where it has not been,
Of
good or
course.
whatever, and it could be really, really dangerous.
Yeah.
But on its face, just being like this, just saying that, you don't need to say anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you hear that a doctor
It's the equivalent of a serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like not the case necessarily.
Right.
Like women needed access to abortion.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was this dude's deal, but I'm just saying like.
Well, I did read a little
using
bit.
that as shorthand,
Right.
is like. Meh.
I did find a Reddit thread that maybe I'll link as well, where somebody was pointing out that like of the era when this would have been happening, there were things called Comstock laws, which were essentially banning any material that was deemed to be dangerous.
Yeah.
And a lot of that included stuff about like, contraception and abortion. So
Right.
like everything was like, don't talk about that. Don't tell people how to do that. Don't tell people how to be safe. So like
Right.
it was necessary to do a quote unquote illegal abortion because
Right.
people were getting
'Cause you
themselves in all
couldn't-
kinds of medical safety, all kinds of trouble.
Exactly.
So like there are various there are a multitude of reasons like that are like financial, that are medical, that are I don't know, whatever.
Anything.
Exactly.
But just I just thought it was interesting reading this about how like it wasn't a story. Well, I guess it kind of was about how he was sacrificing them to Moloch or
Yeah.
whatever. But just anyway, I made my point already. It's not on its face like
Yes.
whoa,
Right.
you know what I mean? But he presents it that way. So let me see. Okay, so there is an article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette from 2014 where members of the three families who lived in that house before the Cranmers did are calling BS. So he says in his book that he has firsthand accounts of these families experiencing paranormal activity as well. And the people in this article are saying that he heard that he says he heard that from their parents who have since passed. So they're not totally sure that he's telling the truth even because their parents aren't there to verify his story or refute it. And he says, well, you weren't there when they told me. So, they did and you might not be right.
Well, just to play devil's advocate,
Sure.
that could be true.
It certainly could be true.
Yeah.
But it seemed, they're just saying this was never a thing.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he's talking about. And this guy seems like a character to me from what I gathered. He seems like an odd duck.
Okay.
So I'm inclined to be a little bit doubtful of him.
What in what way?
Well, first of all, this story is bonkers.
What? There's goo on the floor.
Yeah, there's goo on the floor.
Yeah.
The walls are bleeding. There's Moloch. I do have a little bias against him because I don't like this whole anti-abortion thing that
I
he's
know.
doing.
Well, that's really the big thing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that.
So I'm already side-eyeing him as a kook.
I understand that, but like
And playing the Passion of the Christ for 6 months on a loop to cleanse the house. This is very weird.
yeah, that's very weird. But like, we often celebrate people who say they've experienced stuff like this otherwise.
Yeah, I do, but I don't trust this guy.
Okay.
There are other people who I'm like, oh, benefit of the doubt. And more I read about Bob Cranmer,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about this Bob.
I also read that he punched his son in the face.
That's not great.
It's not great. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know.
But
I don't
it's
know the
not great.
context, but it doesn't sound great.
No.
So these families were interviewed in this article. There's a woman named Karen Dwyer who lived in the house with her mom and her grandparents for 7 years, along with her brother. And she said she never experienced anything crazier than there being squirrels in the wall.
Oh, okay.
But she heard them scuttering.
Oh, I didn't heard them.
I ain't heard no scuttering. This is a quote from her from the article. My mother never said anything about the house being haunted. And his mother would be who Cranmer was saying told him that it was. So she's saying, my mother never said anything about the house being haunted. My grandmother never said anything about the house being haunted. And my grandfather never said anything about the house being haunted. If he wants to go and write it from 1988 and go forward, do it. I don't care. But if you want to lie about other people and things that happened before that, well, no, that's not right.
Interesting.
Her brother Ken and Uncle Walter also said they never experienced anything in the house. And Walter points out that in his book, Cranmer said that his sister, so the mom, told him that their family dog could sense when there was a spirit around. And the dog was kind of following it from room to room. But he says they never had a family dog.
Oh.
So it's just like total bunk. The people who bought it from that family, The Joyces said that they never experienced anything either. And so they're just like, what is this guy talking about? I don't understand where he's pulling it from. But Cranmer says that the Joyces hated the Wagners, who I was just talking about, for selling them the haunted house. He says, and this is a quote from Wikipedia, people are always concerned that they can be held legally liable if they do not reveal to buyers problems of a spiritual nature with a house, which I discovered is not the case in Pennsylvania. Their reactions are obviously intended to cover up the deception used in selling the house, both in 1979 and 1988. The house was not officially sold in 1941 by the original owners, but was purchased via a sheriff's sale. The house sat empty then for an extended period and became known as the haunted house by the local children who ventured into it. So why would, I don't know, I feel like there's some mixed messaging there. He's saying they hated each other kind of, and yet they are somehow banding together and both like locking down on a story of this not being haunted to be able to cover up the fact that they shouldn't have sold it to people as being a haunted house. Why wouldn't they, you know?
Yeah,
what do they care about the other person?
I'm trying to. All right, so if you're going to do the mental backflips to turn this into a plausible thing,
right?
Family 1 sells the house to Family 2, doesn't say that it's haunted.
Right.
Family 2 experiences haunting stuff and is like, oh my God, what did you do to me? And they're like, listen, I'm sorry, I had to sell the house to you. I had to do whatever I could just to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You should do the same thing to somebody else.
I guess so.
And so that way there is some sort of indoctrination.
Yeah, like we're just gonna lock it down, say that we didn't know it was haunted, and that's the story we're both sticking to because I guess it would weaken the story if either one of them says it is haunted.
Now,
so that's true. But
shouldn't they have come forward to Bob Cranmer and been like, listen, you're now the third to enter into
our pact.
Keep this on the DL.
Right.
Sell this to some fourth chump.
Right.
Did they ever make him any such offer?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it.
Then it seems unlikely that that's the scheme that they're running.
Probably not. And again, if he says that they hated each other, that doesn't suggest an in cahootsness.
Yes.
So, I don't know about this Cranmer. I don't know.
He's got a cool haunted house and he needs it to...
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't think it even matters. I think most people aren't going to care about any of this controversy that you're going to talk about. They're just going to go, it's a cool, spooky house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I stay in the nautical room?
Yeah, the nautical room. It's just so weird.
It's weird.
So now let's get to the story about what he calls in his book, I guess, Dr. M performing those illegal abortions. That story comes purely from the visions of that medium who was friends with the priest.
Oh.
There is no other evidence for that or anything. It's just that medium had that idea, and then that became law, basically. Her name was Connie Valenti. And she divined that happened. And she also said that the doctor and his wife were kind of messes, big drinkers, and that the doctor wasn't a good doctor overall. So the thing is, there was a doctor who lived there with his family at one point, and you can find it. I'm not going to use their real last name just because, like, why further besmirch them?
Yeah, sure.
But you can find it. I mean, they were interviewed for this article. But so there was a doctor who lived there at one point, and his family members say that the stories about the illegal abortions just aren't true, and actually the timeline doesn't really add up anyway, which you could say is kind of like nitpicky and not the point, but. It's a further
there's more unraveling
inconsistency in his story.
There are a lot of
I'm doing the
threads to
motion
pull.
of unraveling. Yeah. The book says that he performed them there in the 20s and 30s, but the doctor's grandson says that the doctor actually moved there like in the mid 1940s. So just like not quite right. However, somewhat weirdly, a granddaughter of that doctor reached out and contacted Cranmer after she read the book and said that although she had never heard anything about these operations, that her grandfather did have, quote, an evil demeanor and had thrown shoes at her.
No.
I wouldn't like that.
I wouldn't want to have a shoe thrown at me.
I don't want that from my grandpappy, from my poppy. So... Cranmer did not like this pushback.
No.
He's not liking people saying that he's full of beans. And so he offered to pay for a lie detector test for himself as long as these adult children of the previous owners would do it too.
Oh.
And I don't think that happened.
Oh, that would be awesome.
They were probably just like, no, what? Leave me alone. I got the vibe from this article that they're just kind of like, they don't even want to be bothered by it, basically. They're just like, what the hell? It seems like there might be a one-sided battle a little bit where he's like, how dare you? And they're just like, I just don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're just saying.
Yeah.
You're making stuff up. I don't really care otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that they're that interested in it. And part of why I think that is that he read that article in the Gazette in 2014, and then he responded to them. He gave them a comment that they published 3 days later in an letters to the editor section, I think. He said, any author should relish an article about their book by a major newspaper, positive or negative. However, the recent coverage of my book was over the top. The front page Sunday article clearly sought to discredit the story, its basis in Christian faith, and its controversial topics. I've dealt with the press enough to know that when an article is to have a slant, nothing one says can change it. I spent almost 2 hours on the phone with the reporter, successfully addressing every objection, yet only a few brief comments from me were published. Once I determined that the reporter's intent was negative, I simply braced myself. But if it prompts more reading of the book, so much the better.
He also said that, like, for people that try to book the B&B, if you want to know about the haunted history or whatever, guess what? I'm not going to tell it to you. You'll have to read the book.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, aha. It's all, it's vertical integration. You can live in the subject of the book. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's so, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it'd be better vertical integration if you were... Like, why make that room like a Demon of Brownsville room, but be like, but we don't allow ghost hunters here? Is it a wink thing and kind of like, trying to draw people there because they're not supposed to do it? But that's just lame.
Well, yeah.
It's just, I don't see why that would work any better than just straight up being like, yeah, this is the Brownsville house. Even if you don't lean into it super duper hard and you do just have it decorated in it is all antique furniture, but it's from different eras. Maybe not in that modern nautical room, not sure.
Yeah.
But you can have it look however you want. You could brand it however you want. Like, the website isn't spooky or anything like that. But it's just so weird. And maybe it's just a throwaway thing that I'm latching on to too much. Maybe it's just a thing he said in the article. But it's weird to specify, like, this is not for ghost hunting. Ghost hunters aren't welcome.
Right.
Like,
well, here's what it is, because I think even the people who own the Watcher House are like, we own the Watcher House, and we're not happy about it.
Right.
So it always has to have that vibe, right? Because if you owned a haunted house, that would not be something that you should enjoy. So he has to. He has no option but to be like, my house is haunted, and it really stinks.
Yeah.
It really stinks. And, get a lot of bad attention, but you can buy a room if you want.
Yeah, I hate all the attention.
But I hate that. I hate all this attention I'm getting. Look at all this attention I'm getting. I hate it.
This is all about little old me. I'm so tired of it.
Ooh, get away from me. Back off with all that money and attention.
Seems like
selling the rights to New Line Cinema.
Yeah, right. He was like, I realized that, it's like he wants to prove that it's real, maybe by saying he's not trying to lean into all this publicity. Correct. He didn't do this for publicity. So it's just so silly to me, though. Like, I realized it wasn't dying down, so I may as well shop a movie.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
I know. It's true. Yeah. And it's amazing that works,
I guess. Like, it's a good story.
It's entertaining.
I don't know that I don't think it doesn't work in this case. I don't think that that's generally a tactic that I would say works. Right. But I think that this story is interesting enough that it's like, even though this guy's a weirdo, like, that doesn't really matter for a New Line. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, we'll do the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care. Like, we could market this movie and, maybe make it for $5 million and get $20 million. Sure.
Yeah, it's sweet.
I don't know. I think it's complicated, right? Like, what is the bare minimum you have to do to make that your reality? That you're like, my house is haunted, and now it's got a Wikipedia article. Now people talk about it online. Now Paranormal Witness is doing an episode. What is the bare minimum you have to do?
What do you mean?
What I mean is, let's say that this house had zero paranormal activity before 1988 when the Cranmers moved in. Is this a reputation they had to build up over the course of 2 decades? How long does it take for your fake haunted house to be known as a real haunted house?
I don't know, because, well, first of all, he said that, that there were kids who would talk about this being a haunted house during the period that it was abandoned. So maybe the seed is kind of planted there that this is like a creepy house or something.
Right.
And maybe he happened to move into it and he was like, let's punch it up a little bit.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, if he
this
did...
is already kind of like a known legend house in the area. I don't
Sure.
think it was like in a huge way, but just like kids playing around. Maybe he was one of those kids who played around in there.
Well,
He's
he
like,
did
now I
say-
live in that house. Right.
He did say that he wanted the house ever since he was a kid.
Exactly.
And he kind of got it.
Yeah.
And now he's going to do whatever he wants with it in some sense.
Yeah. So maybe it's like, I got that house on Brownsville Road or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, we could make this a haunted story, and or who knows, like maybe they do believe it's haunted, and because it sounds like this family had a lot of turmoil.
True.
And maybe they've attributed that to a haunting or something like that. I really don't know. I don't know.
There was something that I read as well where he was like, it never occurred to me that the psychological trauma people were suffering in the house could be tied to a paranormal event or something like that. Like, he's like, I don't like to think that way. I never would have thought that, but I guess that's the case.
What was your impression of him?
Honestly, like, my gut reaction, I'm not gonna lie, was to be like, when I saw somebody on Reddit point out the whole, like, it seems like an anti-abortion angle, and he was a Republican politician.
Yeah.
My immediate reaction to that is like, oh, that stinks. You're right.
Yeah.
And then I go like, well, wait, maybe that's not fair.
Right. That doesn't mean that it's not necessarily true.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, people are more complicated than that, hopefully. There could be a multitude of reasons why he believes the thing he believes or does the things he does. What the hell do I know? So ultimately I ended up just being like, I don't know this dude. I know that people can be opportunistic about having a haunted house or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I care about that. I think I'm more amused by it than anything, to be like,
Oh yeah.
oh, there's Bobby Cranmer with his haunted house that he's gonna try to rent rooms out of.
Right.
Sure is a problem to have that, or what?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it just feels opportunistic. But at the end of the day, what the hell do I care?
Oh, well, yeah, you don't have to care, but just like, I was wondering what you thought of him, whether he seemed like somebody who had like his head on straight or was being opportunistic and was a little out there or something like that. And who knows? We don't know him, but just curious.
Right. I mean, he's one of the talking heads on Paranormal Witness,
Right.
and he seemed, visually together enough. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like I really have
a
an
handle.
opinion of him.
Yeah.
I just feel like, I don't know.
It's an
I
interesting story.
always feel like this stuff is made up.
Yeah,
and,
I know. Yeah.
And I don't know. I can see how there can be angles here, both
Yeah.
monetarily and politically.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's quite a tale.
It really is. It's interesting, and I always like hearing stories like this, if for no other reason than that it's just interesting that they pop up as frequently as they do. We've talked about how even the zeitgeist of the time can influence people to want to say that their house is haunted or something like that. That, like, in the 70s we had a lot of movies that were about the devil,
Right.
and there being demons in your house or whatever. But this story starts in 1988.
Right.
And that's not really like, by this point we were
It's
already
not prime time for that.
It's not
like
prime
The
time for
Exorcist
that.
had just come out.
We're already into parody of that
Right.
timeline. Like, Ghostbusters had been out for 4 years at that point. So it's not like it was super in vogue at the time to say that there's a demon named Moloch that is haunting you and your family.
True, but it's like, it's forever intriguing. And
I guess that's
interesting.
true, yeah.
And if I don't know, but maybe if he's super religious, like, that is part of that world, like an understanding, even light, but just like an understanding and somewhat belief in like the devil or demons and things like that. So depending on, what his deal is, maybe that's something that he has in his awareness on a semi-regular basis. Who knows?
Who knows? The one thing I think I would really want to know more about, because I don't know, he said when he ripped out the wall of that closet, he found a bird skeleton and a piece of paper with Moloch drawn on it.
Yeah.
Show me the paper.
Yes.
Show me the paper and show me how it's not something you could have made in 1988.
Right.
I want to see that piece of paper.
Did you try to look for it?
I didn't think of it until just now.
Okay.
Because I was just treating this like a story.
Yeah, totally.
But now that I think about it, that is a big, there's no evidence of these things. Like,
Right.
if you want to be a cynic, if you want to be a skeptic, it is very convenient that the way you experience a haunting results in no evidence. You
right.
know? And I'm not saying that means that they're not true, but
No,
it
but
probably means they're not true.
I
And
totally.
he said he found a piece of paper with Moloch on it.
Right.
So, where's the paper?
At a quick search of Demon Brownsville Moloch paper, I'm not coming up with anything. But again, that doesn't mean that that isn't out there. I'm not sure.
I'm very curious about that. I would like to find that.
I would think if you, I don't know, to call out something that's like a physical and viewable item and not produce it is weird. So I would think that maybe it's in his book or something.
If he says that he had to destroy it,
okay,
I won't believe him, and I'm going to say that this
Probably.
is a scheme.
Yeah.
If he has it, if it doesn't look real as hell, I'm going to say it's all a scheme.
I mean, what would even make it look real?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's on him.
Yeah.
He's got the burden to...
I know, but I'm just saying, what
Yeah.
to you would be like, okay.
Well,
now I'm listening.
That also boils down to, like, I'm not sure that I can ever step out of my skeptic shoes.
Yeah.
If you show me a photograph of a ghost, no matter what,
Yeah.
in my head, I'm going to go, you could Photoshop that.
Yeah.
We're officially at a point in time
where
where
you can do
things can be created
anything.
so authentically. I will never believe in ghosts unless a ghost appears to me.
Yeah.
That is the only way I will ever believe.
Yeah, totally.
As unfortunate as that is, because I would love to get lost in this and really get this overwhelming sense that it's all true.
Yeah.
I used to feel that way when I was a kid, that sort of sense of like, what if, and it was spooky and it was fun.
Yeah.
And I can't have that fun anymore because I'm too cynical and because I know, I feel like I could make a ghost photo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You definitely could.
And it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. So it's up to Dr. Chammy or whatever his name is.
It's Dr. Chammy.
Dr. Chammy?
Yeah.
It's up to Dr. Chammy to show me a Moloch paper.
Yeah.
And for me to feel like that's
And make it
real.
good.
Yeah, make it good, man.
Yeah.
If I really would not be shocked if he said he had to destroy it
Yeah, that makes total sense.
because it never existed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to call him a liar.
I mean, I kind of did earlier.
I know, but I don't know what the laws are.
I don't know.
I don't know. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, the laws.
You can't libel people and say that they're scamming. You can't say stuff like that. You got to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I don't know. The people in the newspaper did.
They did?
They said that he made it up and stuff. I think.
All right, then he's a liar.
Yeah, I mean, William.
Dr. Chamby. Dr.
What
Plus,
are
I
you
know your
talking
name.
about? People call.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
I wouldn't worry about the legal implications of this.
I don't know. I just don't want to see, another headline. Guide to the Unknown slams Dr. Chammy. I don't want to see myself on the front page of the New York Times again.
Not again.
Not again.
And it seems like it's not going away, so
Yep.
we may as well pitch the story to,
Yeah.
some crime drama.
Seems
Seems like it's not fading, so I guess we'll present our libel problems with Dr. Chammy to, all rise.
I didn't want to have to, but
New on CBS, I believe.
it's a shame I had to do this, but I signed a $1 million deal
Yeah,
to get the Dr. Chammy story. Chammy v. Rogers.
it's not going away.
It's coming out soon.
Chammy v. Raj.
I'm so sorry I had to do that. I'm so sorry I had to do that.
Look, if it's what they want, it's what they want,
give
and
the-
it's out of my hands.
Give the people what they want.
That's right.
So the other place Moloch appeared, real quick.
Okay.
Moloch.
Oh, right, yeah.
Moloch was in the back of my mind somewhere. It was
Yeah.
annoying me.
No, me
I
too.
was getting an itch. What is Moloch from? What is Moloch from? Moloch appeared in Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Oh, okay.
and had a robot body. Okay. But that wasn't quite it. Why is Moloch bothering me? Aha. Sleepy Hollow, the TV show. Moloch was the original big bad that summoned the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, one of which was the Headless Horseman.
Excellent.
Up
Excellent.
and out.
All
Moloch.
rise.
Together we rise.
Together we rise
Move
with Moloch.
out. Together we rise. Move out, my horseman. Moloch. Big
There he
bad
is.
guy. They took care of him pretty handily, I think.
Well, once Ichabod acclimated himself to 2015
Yeah.
culture, he was really making moves.
Ooh, new reboot, Ichabod and Chammy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What would I think Ichabod would be very skeptical of Chammy.
What is his name? Chamney?
Chammy.
Camney?
Chanmer.
Chanmer.
Yeah.
Chandler.
Right?
Wait, no. Cranmer.
Cranmer, that's right.
Because Cranberry and Mermaid
Yes.
are mnemonic from the beginning of the episode.
Cranberry
I
and
recall
murder.
now. Ooh, Cranberry and murder. Mm-hmm. I'll have my murder with a side of cranberries. That's my Thanksgiving-based true crime show.
Yeah. Well, I'll be watching.
All right.
And I hope you guys will be as well. Thank you for listening and watching this week. You can find us everywhere on social media at GTTUpod. Please leave a review for the show, a 5-star review if you like it. on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts or wherever it's easy for you. Just you letting people know that you like the show is awesome and makes them inclined to listen to it, of course.
Yes, you can also go to podchaser.com/GTTUpod, where you can not only review the show, you can even review individual episodes. And you can follow us individually as creators to follow our journey through doing podcasts, which is very fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun way to sort of like interact with shows and creators in a way that hasn't really existed before.
Right.
And thank you so much to people that have written reviews since last time. We got a very nice new review on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, great.
From ASDF Zombie, saying, incredible collection of curiosities. After binging numerous paranormal and spooky podcasts, I thought I had run out of my favorite content until I came across this podcast. The chemistry is obviously incredible. They give hilarious commentary on freaky, scary, and strange stories or topics, and it reminds me that there is so much left out there in this world to learn about. I love the pop culture references as well. I'm a listener for life.
Aw.
How about that?
That's great. Thank you so much. What a nice review.
Yeah, so please join the people who are saying nice things about Guide to the Unknown. It makes us feel very warm inside.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you so much. We super appreciate it.
Yes, now that we're at the end of the episode as well, please, we'd like to remind you that over on patreon.com/GTTUpod, you can get bonus material by becoming a Netherworld Warrior. That is a tier starting at $4 a month, but you can edit that field, put in whatever number you would like.
Yeah, and some people have, and we appreciate it like crazy. So thank you so much.
1,000%. And that also gives you access to the exclusive podcast and then the Netherworld Dispatch, a new episode of which is out right this second. So go check that out to hear our thoughts on the new movie, Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining.
Yep.
So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We really hope you had a good time. If you'd like to reach out to us individually, of course, please feel free to do so.
Yes, I'm at Chillin' Kristen on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm at The Myth Traveler. So we will see you next week when we return to the world of mystery and make-believe. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the Netherworld go we. Excellent.
How do you feel about that?
Feel great.
Reviews warm Will's cold, cynical heart. I just can't stop myself. I mean, am I alone? If somebody showed you a picture of a ghost.
Wait, what? Do you think she was referencing stuff like that?
Well, yeah, because I was saying I'm cynical and skeptical.
Oh.
Is there anybody out there? Do you have like a photograph or a video that makes you go like, that is a ghost? I would love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same rate, like if you, how do you agree with me?
Yeah, totally.
What about you all? Do you agree? Can somebody show you evidence that will make you a believer, or would you need to experience it yourself?
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that, and then I think we're going to bail.
Someone's a chicken.
I'm a chicken, too.
Yeah, me too.
KB
Me too,
says,
I'm a funky chicken.
I believe in ghosts, but I try to be rational first. I completely understand that. I
theoretically do, but I don't think there'd be a picture that would make me like, yup, there it is. There's the proof.
I would love to. I would really, really love to. But like everything I've ever seen or experienced tells me quite the opposite.
Yeah.
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 Let me see.
So Taylor said something, I think it might have been a continuation of something else, but it is something I was thinking of when Will was talking. Like as we go older and our minds become more closed, we lose the ability to see spirits and the like. I think she might be referencing you saying you believed in that stuff when you were younger.
Right.
And then you kind of get closed off to it.
That always makes me think, and I kind of agree with this as well, though it was, through an angsty teenage character in The Breakfast Club, the basket case. I don't remember her name now.
I've never seen The Breakfast Club.
What?
Like because it's so
weird,
culturally prevalent. I know a bunch of stuff.
Consult your
about
doctor before taking Prelevant.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was so nerdy.
It sounded like a drug name. Didn't it?
Yeah, but what you just did was so nerdy.
Everyone put a 1 in the chat if you think I'm awesome and that was a cool joke.
Going in like this. Oh my God. But anyway, is that Ali Sheedy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she goes.
People used to tell me I looked like Ali Sheedy because I was like a weird
Shrimpy. She says in the movie, when you get older, your heart dies. And it's very angsty.
Yeah.
But I feel like it also, the point is,
Yeah.
when you get older, you have more experiences in life, and that makes you perhaps a little less sensitive to everything that happens to you.
Right.
And I kind of feel that way about the ghosty idea.
Yeah.
I used to love being a spooky kid who could get scared by stuff. I don't get scared by stuff anymore. Although, I do occasionally still, like, I'll take out the garbage later tonight and it will be pitch black out. And maybe I will think to myself, how scary would it be if somebody was looking at me right now?
Yeah.
And that will creep me out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like a real world thing.
I know. But ultimately, I just can't feel
Nibs is
it
giving
all
it
the
a
time.
1.
Yeah. Bob says, I hate this lag. You're stepping on my toes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got to figure out the lag. Maybe I'll just do a stream. I'll just do like a tech check stream, and I'll have people watch and tell me if it's getting more in sync or something.
Yeah. Tabitha says that she believes that she'd have to see it for herself.
Yeah.
And let me see. Athena says, I've been woken up by the feeling of fingers pulling on my big toe and running up and down my arm. Once I woke up hearing Jebediah being chanted in my ear. Oi, 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 oi.
Whoa.
Yikes.
Jebediah.
Man.
I mean, I one time did think a ghost whispered in my ear a little bit, and I believe that wizards tell me cool ideas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know that. Like, I let it go because I feel like every time you say that, I go, but you think something, so I let it go. But like you do.
I do. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know if I literally think that or that's a good excuse.
You seem to, and then like sometimes when we talk about ghost stuff, like you seem like you're kind of like believing it.
I enjoy
like I don't jump on it because just like whatever.
Call
but,
it
like,
out next time. Call me out. At the moment, I feel like I never believe it.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that that's how I always feel.
Yeah.
I think I'm very wishy-washy
like not
as
constantly
well.
or anything, but like there are times where you're like into it. You know what I mean?
Well, I definitely get into it. I definitely enjoy it.
No, but like you seem to like think there could be like something up.
Can you happen to think of an example?
Yeah, like when we were at Mary Alice's grave and the temperature kept climbing.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
I will say that even just the other day, Allie and I were walking in the park, and we were standing by the river, and Allie goes, "Oh, this is where Mary Alice is looking out, so I could look up and see the forest where the movie theater is and where her grave must be, though I can't quite see it."
Yeah.
And I went, "Sorry, I pissed you off, Mary."
Yeah.
But I'm joking?
Yeah.
Question mark? You know what I mean? Like my reflex is to apologize to the ghost, but that doesn't mean I believe in the ghost.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
So we definitely had an experience at the Mary Ellis grave where something I can't explain happened, but I'm not sure if I think that's a ghost. That's part of the reason why I had us continue to check the temperature gauge everywhere
I'm not
we went.
saying I think that you thought it was automatically a ghost, but you're not just like
I want to believe.
yeah, you're curious and like, that's very weird. You're not just like, well, it's just a rock temperature. You know what I
Right,
I'm
yeah.
like you're willing to kind of entertain.
I would,
You're not-
because again, I'd love for it all to be true.
Right.
I think I'm a fox molder. I'm skeptical of everything to the point where I don't even know if it's skepticism if you just flat out don't believe.
Yeah.
I'm a non-believer, and
Do you
I
mean
love.
Dana Scully?
No,
Or Dana-
Dana Scully doesn't believe it at all.
Right, but
Fox
Fox is
Mulder
like-
wants to believe.
Yeah, but he's like he says I want to believe, but he's like real in on everything. I wouldn't say.
Okay, well then maybe I'm not Fox Mulder, but I do want to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Taylor says you're saying Dear David isn't haunting you?
Yeah, but do I believe that?
I know.
You know?
I think she's joking.
I believe that I don't know what technology is or how it works.
Yeah. I know.
You know?
That stuff is weird though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But weird stuff happens all the time.
Of course it does. Of
Yeah.
course it does.
I don't know. I'm all sensitive.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Let's wrap her up.
All right. Bob says, when you get older, your urge to play with toys and poop your pants dies.
Speak for yourself.
That will never die.
Yeah.
I'll be young forever.
Not I.
Hey, bad news for you, old man. I still want to poop my pants. Oh, offended old man?
I can't take it.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks
All
for
right.
hanging out. We hope you had fun.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the future.
That's it.
This episode's just become part of the past.
Right.
And consult your doctor before taking Prelevant. All right. Good night,
God.
everybody. We'll leave on that cool joke.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye.